Winter and cottage pie go hand in hand. There's nothing better than a hot pie that's coated in mashed potato and then a thick stew underneath it. I love it. And I'm going to show you my chicken version. This is in my recent book called The Weeknight Cookbook. So we need to start with 800 grams of chicken thigh. I like chicken thigh because it stays moist throughout the cooking process. And I'm going to cut it into 4 pieces, just so we've got bite-sized pieces. I've also got a pot of water on with some potatoes in it. You can get that on while you're making the stew, just to speed up the whole process. Okay, now that this is chopped up, we can start frying off the chicken to seal it off. So a good glug of extra virgin olive oil into a large saute pan, and we'll add all of the chicken. Okay, I'll just give that a quick stir. Oh, see how we're getting some good colour? The aim is not to cook it, just to get that lovely crust. Now while that's sizzling away, I'll prepare my speck. I love speck. Speck has a real smoky flavour to it. If you can't find speck, you can use bacon. We're going to take the rind off and we're going to cut it into lardons, so into strips and then into rectangles, about 2 centimetres by 3 centimetres. Ideally, we want these to be chunky because I do want to see them throughout the dish. Okay, let's have a look at this chicken. We've got some colour, it's sealed off, so I just have a plate on standby and we'll remove the chicken for now. Okay, we'll pop the pan back on the heat and get that back up to temperature, and we can add our speck. I'll also add 1 leek that I've finely chopped, and now this needs to cook for about 4 to 5 minutes or until the leeks are really soft and we've got some colour on that speck. In the meantime, I'm going to prepare my lovely button mushrooms. Look how fresh they are. I'm just going to cut them into quarters so we still see nice chunks of it throughout the dish. Okay, we've got some caramelisation on the speck and the leek, so now we can deglaze with some white wine. It smells fantastic. Now we'll add our mushrooms, give that a stir, and some stock, just chicken stock is fine, and some mustard. The mustard is also going to help thicken up our sauce. I haven't used any flour whatsoever in this, it's not needed. And I like to just mix it into one section so we don't get any lumps, and then stir it through all of that chicken stock. Now we can return our chicken and any of the juices that I've gathered in the pan. And I haven't seasoned this yet, so I'll add a pinch of salt. The speck is salty, so just be cautious of that when you're adding your salt. So a small pinch and some freshly cracked pepper. Lastly, thyme. Thyme goes so nicely with the chicken, the leeks and the mushrooms. So I'm just going to pick off the little leaves and add that to our stew. Okay, now this is only going to take another 10 minutes to cook. In the meantime, I'll prepare my mashed potato. You can see that I've strained them. Then I'm going to place them back in the pot with lots of butter and some milk and mash it until it's perfectly smooth. This is looking very good now. The last things I like to add to this is some creme fraiche to make it extra rich. About 150 mils, and we'll just scoop that in there. And for a slight piquancy, a pinch of cayenne pepper. And I'll just mix that through and just let it bubble for a few moments to thicken again, and we'll turn that off. Okay, now it's time to assemble. Just going to pour this delicious chicken stew, which is fantastic by itself, but even better with our mashed potato on top, into a 2-litre tray and spread that out so it's quite even. And now for the mashed potatoes, I'm going to dollop it generously over the top before I start to spread it. So just little mounds like this makes it much easier. Because it is such a thick mixture, this is the best way to make sure we don't disturb the chicken stew on the base. And with a spatula, spread it out. So it's a good idea to get a really large tray for this, just so you've got some room, because it will bubble up as it cooks in the oven. And we'll just spread that out and make a slight pattern so it goes extra crisp on the top. And I like to add some breadcrumbs to some Parmesan cheese and just give that a mix. And then we're going to sprinkle this over the top. Whoa, how good is this going to be? Now this goes into the oven at 200 degrees and I'll cook this for 25 to 30 minutes or until the top is golden brown. Isn't she beautiful? I love how golden it is on the top and that sauce is still thick. Yum-o. Now let it cool a little bit before you eat it because it is going to be piping hot, and I'm going to take a generous chunk out. Ooh, yummy. I'm gonna have a taste. It's so good. Smoked speck, the thyme, the creme fraiche. It is delicious. On a cold, rainy night, Sunday night, this is what I crave.